Hey everyone, this is David March with Innovative Marketing Solutions. And if you're looking for the Growth Mindset podcast, you've got the right place. This is season two. And as you know, we bring on different entrepreneurs and um, businesses that are growing and doing big things. Today we have Nick. Nick is the founder of the Sales Performance uh, Company. And Nick, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, David. Thanks for that. Nicholas Loise, founder of Sales Performance Team, as well as Your Sales Recruiter. So, two separate companies. We help small business owners and entrepreneurs and mid market companies on their sales processes and systems, as well as finding the right sales talent. So, I appreciate being on this. I love talking growth. I love growth mindsets. I love everything you do. Listen, season two, that's pretty impressive because there's people out there with not even 4 episodes of a podcast. So you've done a great job if you're on season two, and keep up the
Yeah.
good work. I know this is a lot of work, and it's a labor of love, but thank you. Your voice is being heard, and I appreciate everything you're doing.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, yeah, season one was interesting. It was just kind of getting my feet wet, and we went on all different topics. Season two, I think is going to be really good. A little more focused, which is always better. Um, but that's how it is. It's like any kind of like season. If you watch TV shows, you might say like, oh, season one was good, but season two, man, they really
Season two is when
elongated
it
that
kicks
one.
in. If you think about Schitt's
Yeah,
Creek, right? Season one was like, and then season two and up to six was phenomenal. So,
yeah.
season two is always the best one. So that's great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And so, when it comes to sales and marketing, you know, something that's been kind of argued or discussed really from the beginning of time has been, what's a marketing qualified lead,
Yeah.
and when does it convert to a sales qualified lead, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So let's touch on that.
I appreciate it. You probably heard my speech, which is, Cain and Abel. The first thing that they thought about really wasn't about land or anything. It was about sales qualified leads and marketing qualified leads, right? So since the dawn of time, as you said,
Yeah.
we go
Of
back
course.
and we've been fighting about that. I think a marketing qualified lead is somebody obviously at the top of the funnel. Maybe
Hmm.
we have some generic information about them. Maybe we have some intent data about them.
Oh yeah.
And but a sales qualified lead is we have much more robust information. We know if this is a decision that they are looking to make, i.e., their intent, what their time frame is, right? So if you think about it, BANT's been around since the dawn of time: budget, authority, need, and timeline. And so that's a sales qualified lead versus a marketing qualified lead. And many times I think marketing gets a bad rap, but sometimes they do throw leads over a lot faster to salespeople versus letting them nurture, because nobody really does nurturing as well as marketing. Nobody does really the life cycle of a lead. If you think about it, the marketing department really owns that and really does a better job at that. Salespeople, we're all short fuse. You want to buy, want to buy, want to buy, and sometimes people are ready to buy, i.e., they're further along on that thought process, right, or that internal decision making process. But sometimes they're at the front end, and they need to be nurtured. And getting them on with a salesperson really is probably the worst thing you could do for that lead, because that salesperson is going to try to accelerate their timeline, and maybe they don't have that in them. So, I think that's the best way to define it. A marketing qualified lead is somebody that has raised their hand. We have some contact information about them. Maybe we know some signal information or some intent data about them. Maybe we know what pages they visited on our website, as well as if they've downloaded white papers. The go-to-market strategy that you put together for your clients, right? So we kind of look at what they do in
Yeah.
that. And a sales qualified lead is somebody that really has budget, authority, need, and timeline. And those are really quantifiable. They're not vague.
Yeah, that's actually great explanation. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean that is a lot about what I do in terms of signals and intent data. I think that's important. Um, you know,
Oh, it's
I
crucial.
don't think it's crucial, and I don't think a lot of people know the difference between like like first party intent, third party intent, um, and I think that's kind of a big piece too.
I think that's huge. I don't think people spend enough time on that, and they could take a lot of heartache out of their sales process and their marketing process if they spent more time on the third party data, which is the Apollos of the world, and all of
Yes.
those and signals, and there's 1,000. You probably know many more than I do, as well as
Yeah.
first party data, which is your internal data of kind of
Yeah.
showing, okay, this is what that person did, and these are what they're signaling that they're interested in or what they're looking at. And
Exactly.
I think that, you know, there's so much pressure, right, on marketing departments and sales departments, and there's just so much pressure on quotas and revenue. And so what we do is we naturally try to accelerate the buyer's timeline. And
Yeah.
sometimes that works, right? If we have skill, then we could really product market fit, right? And we've got they have a problem and we have a solution, and they match up. But
Yep.
sometimes when we try to accelerate that fast, i.e., my sales brethren, if you will, we try to accelerate that timeline. That causes people to push back, right? That causes people to kind of slow it down because everybody's afraid of making the wrong decision, right? Especially if you're selling in a B2B environment. They've
Yep.
maybe made the wrong decision, or they saw somebody make the wrong decision, and maybe that person didn't get fired, but they lost their political standing, if you will, or they didn't get the big projects again. Or if you're a business owner, we all have had our heart broken, right? I myself have hired people and they didn't work out, have bought initiatives and they didn't work out, have done marketing campaigns that haven't worked because I didn't have a skilled person like you doing that for me. So we've all had our heart broken. And that's in the back of our minds what we're thinking of whenever we're making a buying decision, right? So I call it the unknown person at the table, which is the ghost of Christmas past, right? People, the decisions that we made that didn't work out that we aren't articulating, but are there in the back of our mind that causes us to kind of slow down a little bit.
Yeah, that's huge, man. That's right on point too. I mean, at the end of the day, you really gotta, in terms of the marketing stuff, you really gotta like look at the story, the story the data is telling you.
Yep.
Um, and marketing has been changing a lot. It's almost more about data more than anything else. Now, you're if the old marketing people are like new like data scientists.
Yep.
It's like I know like I know the data scientist is a completely different field when you get like really deep into it. So I'm not like super crazy like that because some people that I know that are data scientists that can go crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, it is data, though. You are looking at data. You're looking at, okay, did I look at the pricing page? Did I look at the blog? Like what were the actions that they took? What in terms of first party data? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had a mentor, gentleman by name Dan Kennedy, right? He was a great guy, a lot prolific writer. Said, really marketing is nothing more than human behavior and math, right? So the data is the math, right? So where are they visiting? What are they doing? What's coming through? How many leads came in? All that, right? That's the
Yeah.
scoreboard stuff, if you will. And then the human behavior is what are their buying intents? What pages did they visit? All that good stuff. And I think goes to your point, we don't spend enough time on that, right? I don't think business owners maybe look at their Google Analytics, but don't really visit how many people are visiting their free FAQ pages, right? Or their
Yeah.
blog, or if they have videos or a YouTube station. YouTube leads, I'm sure you see this with your clients, are phenomenal leads, right? They'll come on to like, oh, I've watched all your company's videos, right? Or if an individual, I watched all your YouTube videos, and people go on YouTube to learn, right? It's almost like the Amazon. They go on Amazon to shop. They go on YouTube to learn. Yeah, sure. There's we find ways to amuse ourselves as humans, but for the most part, we're looking to learn. And I think those are great places to ask that question of, hey, have you spend any time on our YouTube station, right? Have you watched any of our stuff? What do you know about us and how
Yeah.
we add value to the
And
marketplace?
yeah, and what I call that is the pre-call sales process.
Oh, it's
Which
beautiful. I love that name. I love that pre-call sales process name. I think, and we don't spend enough time doing that. And I don't
yeah,
think companies hire guys like you and your firm to really plot that out and create that and almost orchestrate it or choreograph it, if you will, because that's, if you get the pre-call, process down, like you said, you don't need that highly skilled of a salesperson. Now, I know I'm going to get myself in trouble by saying that, but if your marketing is really wired in and they are coming on and they're almost predetermined, you could get away with a little less expensive as the salesperson, right? And just kind of teach them some basic objection handling skills, but really kind of continue to guide them through the process.
yeah, yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
all about that.
cause, yeah, because sales in that sense, I mean, is sort of like an assistant buyer.
Absolutely, you are. It's almost the customer service, if you will, right? Okay, let's talk a little bit about what you want to do and where you want to go. And okay, a lot of our clients, use this and this for that problem. And would you like it in green or blue? Okay, let's tidy it up. And that's not a six-figure salesperson you need for that. Now, maybe you need that for a portion of your leads, right? Or you're a portion of
Yeah,
your people, or maybe they're hunting for new logos or new business, right? But your marketing, if you've got that wired in on that pre-call journey so well, and ironically, I'm working on that for one client. I just kind of scoped out a pre-call journey for them because they don't have one and they're getting a lot of no shows, right? And
yeah.
and so it's because there's no value, right? They're like, oh,
I
you
mean,
know what?
because I mean, we've been in this game, we've been in this game,
Yeah,
we know this, right? So it's like, a lot of people are just like, oh, they said they're interested. Get them on the call.
yeah,
Jump on right now. And it's just like, no, that's not the way to do it. You can't just be like, oh, they showed some interest. Sell them immediately.
yeah.
It's like get them on the phone, send whatever. It's like there has to be some kind of pre-call sales process. It can't just be like they said they're interested. Okay, they're going to buy. It's done. It's all over.
I think you're spot on, David. As and I had a professor at business school that said, you have to kind of romance the stone a little bit. You can't just go right to let's get married. You got to romance them in the buyer's journey and give them some good information and show some love and there's a lot of great ways to do it nowadays. And it's faster, right, and a little bit easier, but it's part of the journey and part of the process, so you got to do it. But it makes it fun.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and then you do have to enjoy the journey and you got to map the journey. A lot of people don't even map the journey, you
Yeah.
know? They don't even
Do
map it.
you map it on like the old days we used to do it on butcher block paper with sticky notes, right? And so do you use a software to map it out? How do you map the
Yeah.
journey?
When I think about when you said that just now, I was thinking about like an image of like a hiker on a mountain and like use different pieces or just say pieces different like areas that are like milestones in this
Sure.
journey, all right, on this mountain. um but I mean, when I kind of map it out, I kind of just look at it from like a funnel kind of process.
Okay, so you kind of think
um
about it that way, like a
yeah,
flowchart funnel.
yeah. Instead of a some kind of like creative I don't know, map out like some big giant piece of paper and like a line and some sticky notes along the line or something. Yeah, but
But I think I don't care how the client does it, right? I don't care how people do it. I just think they have to do it, right? You know
they
what I
have to
mean?
do it. Yeah,
Listen, you put sticky blocks, fine. Well,
whatever you want to do, honestly.
lucid
Yeah,
charts, I don't care. Inside your CRM, I don't care. Hire a guy like David to guide you through it, perfect. But you got to do it, and I think you have to revisit it too, right? I think you can't. It's not a set and forget it. And the buyer's journey that you created at COVID isn't the buyer journey, 6 years later, right? And
Mhm.
and I think that has to be updated. And your data will show you, where do people drop off, where do they stop opening emails, they didn't watch this video. Those buyer journeys, I think, probably should be looked at a year. Every year would be great. Every 6 months probably be better, I think. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's actually a really good point. Probably quarterly.
Yeah, I think.
Probably
Yeah,
quarterly.
yeah,
Yeah.
because life changes, right?
Yeah.
Consumers change. I mean, when we probably started talking about this interview, there wasn't. We probably didn't even have the Iran crisis, in the middle of all this, right? So it just shows you every quarter things change, and people will
Yeah.
be thinking
Yeah.
differently. There'll be different pressures on budgets and spending and that type of thing. And
Yeah.
so I think you have to kind of do it and create it with what's going on in the world. Right? I think
Yeah.
that's the most important thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on for sure. And the good thing is though, they're always gonna need marketing and sales, no matter what's
They're
going
always
on.
going to need marketing sales. There isn't a business owner out there that doesn't want it. There isn't a business that does.
Yeah.
I've never talked to anybody that said, "Do you have enough business?" Oh, I can't. Maybe some of the home improvement, home services guys, because they can't find workers. They're like, "I can't lose any more leads, right? I just can't use, because I can't find the
Yeah.
workers." But everybody else, they need it, right? They need somebody to call, or they need inbound leads, or they all need to figure out their marketing. Is one of the, like, they can figure out the sales, right? Because they could get somebody on the phone, they could listen to them, they give them scripts, they could, if they want to spend the time, they could hire guys like me. But they need guys like you on the marketing side of it, because
Yeah.
that's a different beast. You know what I mean? And many times what they do is they Peter Principle people up in their organization, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Susie's in charge of marketing. Oh great, what has she done? Well, she's really creative and she likes Instagram. Okay, great. I love Susie, but that's not a marketer, right? We got to think of, what's your story, right? What do you want to do? What's the buyer journey? Let's think about it holistically, not just let's run to. Because a lot of times when you and I say marketing, that's what we think about, the data, right? And all of that. When they think marketing, they think Facebook ads, right? YouTube. They think media or tactics versus marketing and marketing journeys and philosophies.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is more strategies.
Sure. I think I was on the phone with one guy once, and he was a marketing consultant. And he's like, when I ask people what their position is, they'll give me what their Google ranking is versus what their positioning it is in the marketplace, right? And it's like, no, 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 no. I don't want to know what your Google ranking is. I want to know what's your position, what differentiates you, right? Why do people
Yeah.
choose you versus others, or nothing at all, right? So
Yeah.
the importance of the stuff that you are grounded in and educated in, I think is so critical.
Yeah, yeah, that's fun. Yeah, positioning is also a big piece. Positioning is uh is difficult, and you said that you do something within sales recruiting as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so within that, positioning is really key when it comes to like recruiting in general, right?
It
Like
does.
like how are you positioning your candidates,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing so that they could be the most placeable candidate kind of
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah, I think, also too, when I talk to a really good candidate, he understands his or her positioning, right, and his value prop to the marketplace, and can articulate that, versus just a person that kind of just is kind of, let's say, passive, for lack of a better
Mhm.
phrase. And I think, the work that we do on the recruitment side just came as a byproduct, right, of just working with clients and them being frustrated about not being able to find good candidates. And I think a lot of it is, we take a marketing approach to recruitment, right? So we create a positioning statement. We create an ad. It's a direct response ad. This is who it's for. This is not who it's for, right? You got to pick up the phone. If you don't want to pick up the phone, don't apply, right? Send us a video, right? So we make them jump through some hoops, so we get the right candidates, and hopefully those right candidates have some level of moxie, so when they're in front of the client, they can articulate that in a face-to-face environment or a phone environment. But we also then spend a lot of time on, what's their internal motivations, right? So we do some behavioral profiling, because sales has the highest fallout rate, right? It's got what, a 35% turnover. Jesus, I mean, that's if that's not a flawed system, I don't know what is. If we have that much churn out of salespeople, and a lot of it is we put the wrong people in the wrong jobs, we put the wrong type of people in the wrong type of jobs. But two is we hire just to hire, right? Because we're like, okay, well, a body's better than nothing. Well, no, I would say no, because your opportunity cost is your lost sale, right? So how do we focus on that? So it's been a lot of fun. It's two companies 2 years old, and we continue to grow, and we're blessed with a lot of really good clients. And it's probably one of the most rewarding jobs too, if you think about it. You give a young person a chance, or somebody the right job, and you change their lives and their families' lives and their community's lives. So it's kind of a little bit of a mission work for me too.
Yeah, I love that. Talk about mission work. Yeah, I used to do career coaching before
Oh,
got into
yeah,
marketing.
yeah.
And that's how I got into marketing because I simply just realized that what I'm doing is marketing.
It is all
Like
marketing.
that's
You're helping them market themselves in the marketplace.
that's it. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Yeah.
and so that's why I was just like, why not do this more directly?
Yeah.
Like instead of it being like, oh, I'm doing career coaching, what I'm doing is really marketing. So I'm just gonna be calling, a spade, calling it directly. It's marketing. So that's why I'm no longer Coach Dave March with career coaching and everything. I switched over to innovative marketing solutions because I realized that's what I was
Okay.
doing all along.
Yeah. I like that name too. I think you're right. Like it's interesting, that evolution, right? And I think it's being self-aware of just saying, okay, well, it's really just marketing, right? I'm just giving that person, let's look at it a different way, market research, right? Let's look at how you want to serve to your marketplace. Now, product market fit, right? So you are the product. Let's find a market for this, and let's make sure it's a good fit. So you're flourishing. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm sure helping people find their, let's say, their chosen pathway. Maybe they didn't choose it. Maybe they got skills that they need somebody to kind of say, hey, you have this. So I'm sure that was rewarding.
Yeah, yeah, it was enjoyable. It's definitely fun. There's the obvious challenges of
Yeah.
an employee or candidate is not a business.
Right.
Um, they do not have marketing budgets, right?
Right.
It's not like
Yeah.
a,
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
business
I
has
can
a
think it's more economical to be a marketing consultant and a go-to-market strategist than it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
But I think from the economic standpoint, 100% for sure that it's
yeah. So
much more fun to work with people that have money and need to spend the money to get to where they want to go.
yeah, yeah. So that was the main thing there. But it's definitely rewarding, and I did write a book about it. My book is called Vision in Action.
Okay.
um and that's really about, yeah, like finding their true work and finding their understanding their personality type and doing all these different things so that they could find their chosen path. Um and so, yeah, definitely enjoyable. And part of my journey, instead of that's like more my personal journey instead of my buyer's journey. Yeah,
Well, I think I think providing that book helps them get to where they need to go, right? So you're still helping people. It's just that they can't afford you and your hourly rate, right? And we all have mission work that we'd like to do. We all
yeah,
like, but you also have to kind of take care of the home base, right?
yeah.
And so that's part of the process, and I respect that. So.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, I mean, look, I really appreciate this conversation here, Nick. I think this is really great. As we start to, get to the end of this podcast episode, is there anything like any books or maybe any things that influenced you to get to the point you're at today?
Oh, sure. A ton of books. I'm a big reader, as you can see behind me. Those that are listening, I got a big couple bookshelves behind me. As I said, I mentioned this before. I think Dan Kennedy, right? I've read a lot of his books. I really and like that. I think on the management side and just the stretch my thinking side, Peter Drucker, kind of had a lot of stuff. I'm a big theory of constraint guys. We look for the constraint in the sales process or in the marketing process. So the goal, that, I mean, I was blessed to have parents that really, pushed education, maybe didn't appreciate as much when I was younger as I did in college and in graduate school. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of that. Trout and Rice for the marketing side of the business, Ogilvy, right, for the advertising side of the business. Those are all. I'm kind of schooled in the classics,
Mhm.
so I like the classics, and I think a lot of people today, maybe are the people consider them the goats, but they're really just reiterating the classics, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Oh, well, thanks for jumping on here, Nick. I
yeah,
appreciate it. Is there any place people can find you if they
they
want
could
to learn more?
Yeah, they could go to salesperformanceteam.com. They get our newsletter. They could reach out to me at nick@salesperformanceteam.com. Also, I'm on LinkedIn, right? That's probably the social media of choice. So hit me up on there. It's Nick Luisi or Nicholas Luisi.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I'm also on LinkedIn.
Okay.
LinkedIn's the best. I mean, uh, but yeah, thanks everyone for your attention today. And this is the Growth Mindset Podcast signing off.